Thank you for joining us this afternoon. My name's Jurnee Taylor, and here are the top stories we're following for you now at noon. A Benton jury handed down the sentence to Mauricio Torres. Coming up, a look at the sentence and the case. Plus, President Biden is re-upping the country's support of NATO allies. A check-in with the White House on the decision out of Moscow that the president is calling a big mistake. And some states are now driving a controversial chemical off store shelves. Later, how companies are responding. But before we get to those headlines, let's first take a look at weather. I was going to talk about the wind and how maybe I need to put my hair in a ponytail, but this rain just came out of nowhere.
Well, it's the wind, it's the rain. We were telling you all day long it was going to be a changeable day, and we've got a narrow line of some very gusty showers. Heavy rain lasts for about 5-10 minutes. This is a quick moving system, and then it will start to wind down very quickly. But right along that leading edge, there could be some wind gusts of 45 to maybe as high as 55 miles per hour. Looking at the live winds right around Sherwood, headed towards Jacksonville, you're going to see some gusty winds make its way through your neck of the woods very, very shortly, and then the winds will die down somewhat. But you can see how narrow this line is, slicing its way through White County. Pulaski County has made its way into Grant County, about to enter into Jefferson County. So Pine Bluff, get ready, because things will be changing very shortly, and the chance of rain will stick around probably until about 2 or 3 o'clock, and then we'll see clearing skies behind the system. Also, the winds, they are on the gusty side, sustained from the southwest about 20 to 30 miles per hour. But even outside the storms, the wind gusts have been about 35 to 40 miles per hour. We will see improving conditions out there tonight. More on that forecast, and also if it will cool down behind the system coming up.
Well, just hours ago, a Benton County jury sentenced Mauricio Torres to life in prison without the possibility of parole. He was found guilty of first-degree battery and capital murder after sexually assaulting and killing his 6-year-old son. This was the third time Torres has been convicted after a judge demanded a retrial because some of the crime happened in another state and someone attacked him at a second trial. His wife is serving life in prison after taking a plea deal for their son's death. President Biden is meeting with the countries on NATO's eastern flank today before wrapping up his trip to Ukraine and Poland. The visit comes as Russia's invasion of Ukraine is about to enter its second year. Skylar Henry reports from the White House.
Heading into a meeting at the presidential palace in Warsaw, Poland Wednesday, President Biden made his first comments on Russian President Vladimir Putin's decision to suspend participation in the New START nuclear arms control treaty.
Mr. President, any reaction to Putin saying he's pulling out of New START?
I don't have time.
No time?
No. Big mistake.
The president, who had a trace of ash on his forehead for Ash Wednesday, was there to meet with the leaders of the Eastern European NATO countries known as the Bucharest Nine. As the countries on NATO's eastern flank, they are most vulnerable to a potential attack by Russia.
You know better than anyone what's at stake in this conflict, not just for Ukraine, but for the freedom of democracies throughout Europe and around the world.
During the meeting, the president once again reaffirmed the United States' commitment to its allies, calling it a sacred oath and vowing to defend every inch of NATO. NATO's Secretary General warned that Russia is preparing for more war, not peace.
We cannot allow Russia to continue to chip away at European security.
Wednesday's meeting comes at the end of President Biden's trip that began with an unannounced visit to Kyiv Monday, meant to bolster support for Ukraine as the war with Russia enters its second year. Skylar Henry, CBS News, the White House.
Well, all eyes are on Senate Bill 294, also known as the Arkansas Learns Bill. The bill will get its first vote today. Opponents of the Democratic Party believe the bill is being rushed. With 144 pages, they say there should be more time to read and digest what's in the legislation. They want another week or more of public review. But on the contrary, Jacob Oliva, Arkansas's new education secretary, says they're not rushing to get the bill through, and he also doesn't expect anyone to oppose.
I don't anticipate any pushback. We take feedback from anybody, and we're open to additional ideas and thoughts, and we want to work to get it right.
Now, the bill was the only thing on the committee's agenda this morning. Our very own Ian Russell is there and will be posting the latest updates first on THV11.com. An investigation is underway into a freight train derailment in Nebraska yesterday. No one was hurt when about 31 cars carrying coal ran off the tracks. It comes as the Environmental Protection Agency has taken charge of the cleanup following the toxic trail derailment in Ohio. President Biden received an update yesterday from Ohio lawmakers and his EPA administrator. Today, former president and 2024 Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump is expected to visit East Palestine. And there's new information from the special grand jury in Georgia that investigated former President Trump's alleged effort to change the state's 2020 election results. The forewoman of the grand jury is breaking with usual practice and talking in public about its recommendations. Robert Costa is in Georgia with more.
It's not a short list.
Emily Coors, the forewoman on the special grand jury investigating former President Trump's alleged interference in the 2020 election results in Georgia, is speaking out. Her interviews come unusually before the district attorney has announced how to proceed. It also follows a judge's partial release of a report last week on the special grand jury's findings, which states that jurors believe one or more witnesses might have lied during testimony.
If they've been following the investigation, I can't see it being a shocker.
Much of the probe centered around the alleged pressure campaign led by former President Trump and his longtime lawyer Rudy Giuliani on Georgia officials like Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger, who Trump pressed in a January 2021 phone call.
Look, Brad, I have to find 12,000 votes, and I have them.
The grand jury also looked into allegations that the former president was involved in a plan to roll out fake presidential electors in Georgia. While Coors stoked intense speculation, she would not explicitly say whether the special grand jury is recommending charges against Trump. Her comments about private grand jury deliberations are rare and come after a judge decided to keep several sections of its report secret.
We definitely heard a lot about former President Trump, and I will say that when this list comes out, there are no major plot twists waiting for you.
Sources close to former President Trump's legal team tell CBS News that they are monitoring what the forewoman has been saying, but they know at the end of the day, it's the district attorney who will make the final decision on whether to move forward. Former President Trump continues to deny any wrongdoing, and this all comes as he mounts his 2024 presidential campaign. Robert Costa, CBS News, Americus, Georgia.
And the Fulton County District Attorney has not yet announced whether she will pursue charges against President or former President Trump or his associates for trying to overturn President Biden's victory in Georgia. We are proud to bring you a true crime documentary created by journalists right here at THV 11. Sentenced to Death will premiere tonight on THV 11 Plus. It tells the story of a man fighting to overturn his death sentence after he says he was pressured into a confession. You can download the THV 11 Plus app on Roku devices and Fire TV. Well, now an update all Arkansans can feel good about today. Former Hog great and NFL running back Peyton Hillis tweeted out that he'll make a full recovery from his scare last month. The former Razorback spent time in the ICU after rescuing his kids from drowning in the waters off Pensacola Beach. First responders found Hillis unconscious, but all of his kids were safe. The Conway native had to be put on a ventilator after getting sand in his lungs. He thanked everyone for the prayers and says he has left the hospital, quote, with no concern and should make a 100% recovery. That's definitely good news. Well, an expansion is coming to a facility where Arkansans learn to fly planes. The Henderson State Aviation program uses the Arkadelphia Municipal Airport. Tomorrow, the airport will debut a massive add-on, a brand new terminal building. The previous 600 square foot room will now boast 1,600 square feet and feature a big lobby, pilot's room, conference room, and full bathroom. The project took just under a year to complete and cost $650,000, most of that coming through Arkansas's aeronautics grants. But meanwhile, thousands of flights have already been canceled as the Midwest prepares for storms. After the break, a look at the snow across the country, and we've got Nathan to let you know what's going on here at home as well.
That band of very heavy rainfall moving out of Little Rock, headed off to the east. I'll have a live look at radar and talk about some much cooler temperatures arriving for one day in my 7-day forecast coming up.